And I think one of the themes that we often hear about is when they're asked to juggle these things, they feel like they have to multitask. That's a common word I hear coming up. How about you?
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a quick exercise I think we could do to demonstrate to people the impacts of multitasking. We often perceive it as being something we are seeking to be able to do, but I think there's a counter argument that says maybe this isn't where we're headed. So I'm going to ask you to do three things in total, and I'm going to keep a timer going here on my desk in front of me. So it's a pretty straightforward direction. I'll give you the direction, we'll do it, and then we'll repeat that process. So I'm going to ask you to count up to 10, just one at a time, in a pretty rapid fashion. Start anytime you're ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, that was about 5 seconds for you to count from 1 to 10. So I would call that a single task. It's focused on one topic, which is numbers. So now I'm going to ask you to do something similar. I'm going to ask you to recite the alphabet from A to J in a similar fashion, relatively quickly, but not killing yourself. Start when you're ready.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J.
Okay, so that was about 5 seconds as well, maybe 5.5. So again, these are two distinct tasks. Each one of them took you 5.5 seconds. So we're talking about 10 or 11 seconds total. Now I'm going to ask you to multitask, which means we're literally trying to thread these together or weave them together. So I'm going to ask you to move through that same sequence. So you'll say A1 and then proceed through the letters and numbers all the way through J and 10. So begin when you're ready, please.
Okay. A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7, H8, I9, J10.
Okay, so in that case, it was more like 12 seconds, maybe even 13. And I think both you and I, but certainly our audience, could probably see that A1, B2 is relatively quick. When you start getting to the HIJ, there's a little bit more of a pause. And so what happened there was something that took you 5 seconds and something that took you 5 seconds for a total of 10 now took you 12, 13, maybe even 14 seconds. So when you combine or try to multitask, meaning you're making the two blend together, it really increases the time that it takes. It may also lead to errors. In this case, it was a pretty simple, A through J, 1 through 10. Most of us aren't going to make too many errors on that, but think about something more complex, right? If you're dealing with a financial spreadsheet and then looking at a product spec and you're trying to somehow weave those two together, there's a lot of room for some maybe small, but certainly notable errors.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people confuse multitasking with running parallel work streams. Do you find that as well?
Yes, I think that's very common.
And I think it's important that we can make the distinction between parallel work streams versus multitasking, right? And for me, multitasking is like you're trying to do multiple things in the moment, right? As opposed to running things in parallel tracks is that you can be, working on developing a product spec. You can be working on making sure that you get the financials of your model done. You can be working on talking to customers, but you're not trying to do them all at the exact same time. It's more about allocating discrete blocks of time to work on all three of those things to get them completed. What do you hear in your practice?
Yeah, what I hear a lot of is the word focus, that people want to be able to focus on one thing at a time, which gets to the discrete blocks of time that you just mentioned. And some of that is transitioning from project A to project B, both within the context of work, but sometimes it's even something different, right? Like it could be as simple as I'm working on a project and then I've got to squeeze the dentist appointment in, and the dentist just doesn't want to see me at 10 p.m., right? So it's kind of this switching back and forth. But to your point, it really comes about thinking about how you can allocate blocks of time so you give yourself enough time to sort of immerse yourself in a certain topic or a project.
Yeah, I agree. I find that I'm much more productive and I feel like I have a better sense of accomplishment when I have those focused time blocks in my calendar to just really crank out the things that I need to crank out for go long.
Yeah.